Shocking exclusive, we caught them. Pennsylvania results show a statistically impossible pattern behind Biden's steal. We caught them. We caught their fraud. And in this post tonight, our first of many, we will reveal how they stole the battleground states. The fix is in. The current results of the presidential election in Pennsylvania reported to the public are fraudulent because they are nearly statistically impossible. On election night, President Trump totally ran away with the election in Pennsylvania. President Trump was ahead of Joe Biden by nearly 700,000 votes. It was an insurmountable lead. The president was still ahead in Pennsylvania with 56% of the vote to Biden's 43% the next morning. The president was winning Pennsylvania and held a 675,000 vote lead in the election over Joe Biden. What happened next was corrupt and criminal as the Democrats went about to steal Pennsylvania for Biden. They took a Trump landslide and they criminally flipped it to Joe Biden. According to Pennsylvania's election returns website, on election day President Trump won nearly two-thirds of all votes cast in the state. The president won 2.7 million votes compared to Biden's 1.4 million votes. The president's votes were nearly twice as many as Joe Biden's. According to Pennsylvania's election returns website, on election day President Trump won nearly two-thirds of all votes cast in the state. The president won 2.7 million votes compared to Biden's 1.4 million votes. The president's votes were nearly twice as many as Joe Biden's. They just kept counting. The state also allowed votes to come in for 3 more days after the election. Of course, these were all mail-in ballots. We do not know how many mail-in votes came in during these 3 days. The Republicans were not allowed to observe the counting of these votes even though a court order was in place demanding that the state so. These actions go against Pennsylvania's constitution, which state that the voting process is to be determined by the legislature. The change in ruling was implemented by the executive and judicial branches. This is an important issue with the Trump campaign in their complaints against the state as they try to undo the injustices in Pennsylvania. Today the state is reporting more than 2.5 million mail-in ballots. This number was never seen before in this state. As the mail-in ballots were counted, the state began cutting into the president's 675,000 vote lead and eventually they gave the election to Biden. Biden won 2 million of the 2.5 million mail-in ballots. How could the president receive only 1/5 of the mail-in ballots after crushing Biden in in-person voting on election day? The answer is, this was basically impossible. And here's why. How could the president receive only 1/5 of the mail-in ballots after crushing Biden in in-person voting on election day? The answer is, this was basically impossible. And here's why. What happened with the mail-in votes is almost statistically impossible, see the orange line below. In almost every county throughout the state, the president was awarded a percent of votes 40% less than the percent the president won on election day, see the gray line below. If Trump won a county by 80% of the vote on election day, he won 40% of the mail-in vote for a county. If the president won 60% of the vote on election day, he won 20% of the mail-in vote in another county. This pattern occurred in almost every county with the only noticeable exception of Philadelphia, where the president only earned 30% of the vote on election day. These numbers are so consistent that they are almost certainly fraudulent. This never happens in datasets. Below is the data by county. Note the counties are listed alphabetically. Number 51 is Philadelphia. Again, the fact that the mail-in votes and election day votes mirrored each other as revealed in the diagram above is basically impossible. Also, the extent of separation is very large at 40%. We obtained another example for comparison's sake in Arkansas. In Arkansas, the difference between percent of election day ballots won versus mail-in ballots varied widely between 2% and 40%, but the average was clearly lower than 40%. They got caught. Our top-level data expert couldn't believe these results. He looked at other states that were not swing states, and the lowest percent in mail-in ballots less than the president's election day votes was 40%, but this occurred very rarely. We also spoke with Dr. V.A. Shivayajurai, the inventor of email and polymath, earlier today, and he mentioned he is seeing similar patterns in voting data from this year's election. We believe we are onto something here. It is clear that corrupt Democrats in Pennsylvania did all they could to steal the 2020 presidential election for Joe Biden. There was no excitement for the Biden campaign, and there still isn't. Republicans are convinced he cheated. Bringing justice to Pennsylvania is a key step in addressing election fraud and addressing the massive Democrat fraud in the 2020 election process.